Now that you've worked on the details of the case and found the recommended course of action, it's time to present your recommendation to the client. It's crucial that your advice is delivered in a clear, structured way. So let's focus on the sixth of the 7 skills, synthesis. A robust synthesis skill not only showcases your ability to communicate complex information clearly, but also demonstrates your business sense. To structure a recommendation and have a strong synthesis, you can use the pyramid principle. It starts with the key takeaway or recommendation. And only then do you back it up with your main arguments. And make sure you use data to support your arguments. How can you apply that and other best practices to the synthesis of the case? First, start by quickly recapping the case situation and, most importantly, the problem your client was facing that made them come asking for your help. This prepares the audience for the answer. Second, clearly state your recommendation. That is the key takeaway we've seen in the pyramid. Make it clear and to the point. The client needs to have clarity on what you're recommending that they do. Third, enumerate the arguments you have for reaching that conclusion, then list them. These are the top reasons why your recommendation is the best way forward. Make sure these are bulletproof and directly support your final call to action. You can already embed the data you have from the case into each argument.
Fourth, list the risks that are important for your client to be mindful of when following your recommendation. Every action has its risks, and highlighting them shows that even though you trust your recommendation, you're aware it isn't perfect for every possible scenario. By showing which aspects they should be aware of and what that could potentially change your recommendation, you demonstrate professionalism and give the client confidence that you're considering scenarios where things could go wrong.
Fifth and last, conclude by suggesting practical next steps. For instance, what should be done next to put your plan into action and to mitigate the risks you've just mentioned? This shows that you can keep driving the case. It helps show your client that you're focused on action and have clear, actionable steps. One observation: in 50% of the cases, you won't reach the final recommendation, part due to a lack of time. Don't worry if you don't. Interviewers are mostly interested in your other skills and will be able to assess you based on everything they've seen. However, in the other 50% of cases, you better impress the interviewer. This is a hard skill to master, and you're expected to do well to get the offer. Now it's time to structure your own recommendation. Pause the video and take some time to build it. Then let's take a look at the synthesis our candidate has made for this case.
Our client is a tubes manufacturer that came to us with an issue regarding the increased order fulfillment time of their production. They had 2 specific questions. First, why has the order fulfillment time increased? And second, what they can do to address this problem. As we have found out, their order fulfillment time has increased because the demand grew beyond what they were capable of delivering with the current factory. My recommendation is that the client should outsource the manufacturing to the Indian partner in the short run and evaluate building a new factory in the long run, for 2 reasons. First, outsourcing is a short-term solution that will prevent the client's customers from switching to competitors. Second, the Indian partner is the only one that can absorb all the excess demand that our client has, at least in the short run. But there are 3 risks I'd like to point out regarding this recommendation. The first risk is that the quality of the tubes made by the Indian factory could be lower than the quality our client provides today, which could be an issue for our client's customers. Second, EU regulators could limit outsourcing in a specific industry to a certain limit or a percentage of the overall production. Third, other firms could make a better deal and preempt our client's move, making the Indian factory unavailable for this partnership. For next steps, I'd first devise a strategy to build a new factory in the long term. Second, I'd check if the future demand growth and the Indian factory's 60% extra capacity are precise enough data. And lastly, I'd develop alternatives in case they are necessary, such as distributing the volume to different partners or checking the attractiveness of acquiring other factories.
Notice how our candidate's recommendation is far more comprehensive than simply stating what the client should or shouldn't do. First, he begins with a recap of the client's initial question. This step is crucial because it ensures that he is addressing the specific issue the client came to us for help with. It shows the client that we are focused on their precise needs. Next, he clearly states his recommendation, while quickly introducing the arguments behind it. Notice that the recommendation itself doesn't need to be over-explained because the arguments that come after it will support it as a logical conclusion. Presenting a clear and engaging synthesis involves enumerating the key arguments and evidence that led to this conclusion. These should be the most important pieces of information we found during the case. By listing risks, the candidate ensures they are considering every possibility within the client's situation, including different scenarios in which the recommendation might not work as planned. This gives us a great opportunity to follow up with the next steps that relate to the risks and the recommendation, providing clear, actionable steps for the client to implement this advice. This is a strong way to finish your case and ensure that your client has something very clear to work on. Since you've helped them perform this analysis and map out all the things they should be aware of while following your recommendation, you add real value as a consultant. If you found it hard to come up with the risks and next steps, don't worry. In the full bootcamp, we'll walk through every type of risk that could be presented in your synthesis, which is different from your structure.